I'm Alice Rossi. I work as a practice development midwife and fetal well-being specialist here at Whittington. I studied midwifery in Pisa, at Pisa University in Italy, and I have been working as a midwife for over 10 years now. So my parents are in Italy, and my grandmother as well, and I haven't seen them in a year now because of the pandemic. But here I have a nice network with my job and my friends. I also planning to get married, so I have my parents-in-law, my new family here, so I feel I don't feel isolated in any way. Yes, we didn't have to. I think it was organized by the trust. So our trust organized a course with Northampton University that was called Transition to Midwifery Care in the UK. And that was very good actually, because there are slight differences in the way each country organizes the midwifery care. And it made us feel more confident in the differences, which was very good. I don't think it's mandatory, but I think it was something that was really appreciated. Initially, coming from abroad, it can be a bit isolating. I was lucky enough to do it in a group, but I really was driven by this feeling of wanting to become confident and independent, and not having to ask for help all the time. So I really wanted to prove myself and others that I could do it. So I think that as challenging as it was, I think it was also very rewarding for me. As an internationally trained midwife, when I came over to the UK, I felt very lucky. I was very well supported. I think the main challenge for me was to prove to myself that I could do it, and there was this sense of almost being an imposter or maybe not good enough. So I really wanted to prove to myself and to my colleagues that I could do it, and it was very rewarding. It was also, I came as part of a group, so I wasn't alone, and I think that will definitely help to feel like you're part of a group and you're going through this together. I always knew that I wanted to move and abroad, so my family was already used to the idea that I would be moving out eventually, and I started applying for jobs abroad before my graduation. And I was lucky enough to get a job before my graduation in the UK, and I was very grateful. I was very excited, but also a bit scared. I guess it's normal. So every day is kind of different for me in my job. There are lots of different aspects of this role that is relatively new in the country, and it's kind of the main challenge is to try and find the balance between all the different aspects. We have, on one side, we have the teaching aspect, so I run some teaching on fetal monitoring, and I make sure I'm also very present in labour ward, birth centre, antenatal ward and triage to make sure that midwives feel supported. If there are any fetal monitoring concerns, any questions, we have a centralized monitoring system which I am responsible for, and I always make sure that everything is running smoothly with that. So I always do a round every day to make sure everything is working. We're also in the process of updating our guidelines, so I always make sure that I do a little bit every day towards that goal. I make sure that I audit practice to make sure that we are seeing the improvements that we're looking for. Sometimes I'm part of I do clinical shifts as well to support the staff. I think it's the fact that you all of a sudden have this huge amount of responsibility that you're not used to, because you always, as a student, you're working under the responsibility of a midwife. All of a sudden you're responsible for the health of mother, baby, and it can be very stressful, especially during a pandemic. And I think that the key thing is to know that you're part of a team, and to ensure that you're always escalating your concern. So the pandemic affected midwifery practice primarily from a staffing point of view. There were shortages due to people self-isolating or being ill. There was a significant amount of stress put on the services. Also there was less choice for our women. I think some hospitals, I have worked in different hospitals during the pandemic, and some trusts had to suspend home births, which means that there was less choice for our women because of the strain on the ambulance services. So that was a bit sad. But overall, I think there was a spirit of working together. Many midwives really felt like there was a sense of belonging. There was more compassion towards each other and people who lost their family members. Some people lost their colleagues in a few trusts. Some midwives sadly died of COVID, which is very sad. And it was good to see the community aspect of midwifery and how people really came together, and that was very nice to see. I think it's important to always remember why you started, what was your key motivation when you started in midwifery. Personally, I think I wanted to be part of that important journey, and I think there's lots of room for improvement in the way we give birth, I think, and one of the key motivators for me was to be able to be part of the change, to promote improvements in midwifery, and to be with the women in this difficult time in their life. I think it's a very rewarding job. In terms of advice to students, I think not to make sure you don't lose your enthusiasm. When you start, you're very enthusiastic, you're very excited about midwifery and becoming a midwife. And I think once you get to see some of the situations that might be more stressful, it's so easy to get to forget why you started, and it's very important to not become too institutionalized, and to always remember why you started and what drives you and what motivates you. And I think it's the most important thing, and not to absorb negative behavior, but to make sure you're always just taking the good characteristics of other people and you embed them in your way of being a midwife. I think that's the most important thing, and something I wish someone taught me when I started.